apologize. I hate my back to people. I came tonight just to undo, excuse me, I have a little bit of cold. Talk a little bit about the sewer. As you know, there's been a little bit of a dispute back and forth between Robbinsville and Hamilton. Just wanted to assure everyone that we want to be a good partner, we want to be a good neighbor, but we do have some concerns. In 2015, we talked a little bit about flow and infiltration. We were told that we were going to spend about $3 million at the time of a $5 million bond to address infiltration, which we supported. We thought it was a good idea. The good news is we had a good result. We had about a 20% reduction, give or take, which we heard earlier about flow. And the idea was that we spent the $3 million because it was going to save us money. You can kind of imagine my surprise when I had about a 200,000 gallon reduction in flow from Robbinsville, and my bill went up about $200,000. Now Robbinsville is also on the hook for a portion of those bonds. We're paying for those bonds. So that's a concern that we're continuing to spend money in debt. And the analogy that we used for heating the house was interesting because when it was sold to us, the analogy that was used to us was solar. You invest in solar, therefore it reduces your bill. So it's a little bit of a different analogy than we're hearing now. But the challenge that we have is, I then took a look at the budget and said, well, is perhaps the rate of increase going down? We invested the money, and I can understand you have some expenses, but at least at a bare minimum, you would think that maybe our increases in budget may have slowed down. But the fact of the matter is they haven't. We've had the exact same increases that we've had year over year, even though we've invested the money and seen a decrease in flow. So that's the challenge that we're having in Robbinsville. We don't really have a good understanding as to why our flow / gallons treated have been going down, and our budget has been going up almost at the same rate. So it's a concern. We don't have any good explanations. We have further concerns that a lot of items are being pushed into capital, which again, Robbinsville's on the hook for. Many of these items are questionable at best whether they should be used for capital, golf carts, GPS, etc. So when you take a look at your debt is rapidly expanding from the township side. When we look at debt, there's a number of things that we can be using to manage the debt, i.e. the state has a ton of state authorities that we can be using to manage debt. Instead, what we're doing in Hamilton over the last 10 years, we're using what's called BANs, which are bond anticipation notes. Probably the worst vehicle that you can be using for long-term debt because you don't pay any principal payments. And again, I'm standing here tonight arguing if we use principal payments that Robbinsville would actually be paying more. But the idea is what you don't want to have is years and years and years of, and you can imagine to another analogy of your home. You wouldn't want to have a interest-only bill on your home because your debt will continue to go up. You'll never pay down your bond payments, and eventually the state doesn't allow you to take more than 10 years worth of bans. So sooner or later, all of this debt is going to come off the root, which is going to hurt us all. So we really need to start looking at why we're doing this. The third question that Robbinsville had was, why are we taking bans when we were in one of the lowest interest rate periods of our lifetime? So when I start looking at why we weren't locking in on long-term bonds, while we had low interest rates, we're now in bans. We're running out of the amount of time period that we can ban for. So we're going to have to take bonds. We're going to have to take them at a higher interest rate. So a lot of these questions that we have, we're not trying to be a good neighbor. It's not that we don't want to pay our fair share. We just want to be smart about how we're doing it. We're not getting a lot of answers back and forth. I'm not trying to get into the back and forth on what's going on with the administration. I just want to assure you, we do want to be a good neighbor. We have been paying what our original bill was 2 years ago. We had about a $1.6 million bill. Somehow it went up to $1.8 million. We've never understood why. We continue to pay the $1.6 million because, again, we want to be good neighbors. And I want to assure you that we'll continue to do so. But we really would like to have some communication with Hamilton to understand what's going on and have a little bit more input in the process so that we can move forward in the future. Thank you. Thanks for letting me have you.
Mayor Fried, I'm sorry.
Sure, yes.
You're saying that your bill went up.
Yes, ma'am. And our gallons went down, both by about 200,000 coincidentally.
Bill goes up, gallons go down, and you received a bill for just recent. When did you receive the last bill?
I don't know that off the top of my head. It's been an interesting back and forth.
For the last quarter was probably around end of September, I guess.
Yeah. We've also received some odd letters from the CFO, so it's odd to say the least.
So regarding the bill list is, when did you receive that?
From the bills from Hamilton?
Yeah.
We received them quarterly.
Dave, can you send us what you sent Robbinsville? Can you send council? I'd like to see what he's looking at, what he's talking about.
If you'll recall, the initial agreement goes back to 1978.
No, I remember all that, yes.
And,
Almost older than I am.
And I thought it was very close with negotiations with Mr. Francioso on behalf of Robbinsville. He's no longer employed by Robbinsville. So Mayor Fried and I had a discussion. I'm going to get back to him, and we're hoping we can come to a resolution on it. But if you want to see the bills. and
Yeah, we'd like to see
correspondence-
what he's been seeing.
It's like you don't see the bill list, when you guys?
Have you seen? I haven't seen it.
No, you wouldn't have seen it.
Yeah.
Robbinsville, we actually send the bill list to the council and they approve it. It's just as a good.
Wow. Not what it is.
Sorry, President. But it is good governance, you really. It's a good idea. Anything else?
I'm sorry, say that last part again. The bill is sent to council.
Bill lists are always sent to council every meeting, yes. Council, we actually ask council to vote on the bill list as well, just as a member of good governance. But again, I don't want anyone to ever know or think that we're paying something that they weren't aware of.
Okay.
Just a good check and balance.
Hey,
We've done that for years.
one question. Last time you were here, we were talking about zip codes.
Let's get them all now.
Whatever happened to the
It
zip
was
codes?
blocked by the administration.
By which administration?
Years.
We never took position on it.
Yeah, you did.
If
Just
you-
telling you that the postal office will not, they will not move forward without a letter. from
We never
the
took a
mayor.
position pro or con on that, and you know that's true. We reached out to the Postal Service, and you reached out to the Postal Service to see if they had ever canvassed people in Hamilton Township, and they couldn't tell either one of us if they had ever written to people in Hamilton Township about it. We never blocked it. We never did it a letter, we never did anything.
It wouldn't move forward without the mayor's approval. So if you want, we can resolve this tomorrow. You can have the mayor send a letter and we have it all finished.
That
Mayor.
just seemed to die.
Mayor,
And it died because the mayor won't send a letter.
Well, that's not.
Council was kind enough to send a letter.
so it was, Mayor, it didn't work just having to cancel letter. It wasn't-
We are going to file suit with the post office and we will be taking their testimony so we can then find out exactly what happened, Mr. Clinton.
Because I know you had people that, in the Postal Service who wouldn't respond to you either.
But they have responded to us. They're waiting for Hamilton to sign off on it. If you guys would send them a letter.
Nobody's ever told us that.
So, okay, if we're gonna have this debate, will you be willing to send us a letter tomorrow saying you support it?
I don't have that authority.
The mayor, we will. Would you be willing to
We-
ask the mayor to do it?
Well, we wanted to find out if people in Hamilton were canvassed on how they felt about it, because we felt Hamilton residents should have some input to that. No one can tell us if they ever were canvassed or got letters from the Postal Service asking them about it.
Okay.
That's the problem.
Okay, so
I'm sorry.
did the mayor ever pick up the phone? Has Mayor Yaede called you about this?
Oh, yeah, we spoke about this.
Yeah, we had a meeting.
But to be candid, I mean, let's just understand the issue. The issue here is not a matter of Hamilton or Robbinsville. The issue is, does anyone in Hamilton, we'll take a poll.
All right, Mr. Fried, we're just gonna address council.
Does anybody in Hamilton want to be tracked?
Mr. Fried, we're just gonna address council here.
Sorry. But anyway, the only issue here is whether or not 08691 wants to be Trenton. There is no members of 08691 in Trenton. No one in Trenton lives in 08691. No one in Trenton has ever lived in 08691. Only people in Robbinsville and Hamilton. And I can assure you, most of the people in Hamilton, I think, would rather either be Hamilton or Robbinsville than be Trenton. Right now, none of those people have that opportunity. The only opportunity they have is to be Trenton.
Mayor
I think
Fried,
most of them would rather be the other.
about how many Hamilton residents would be affected by the change?
Just the residents right around the Hamilton Marketplace. And the businesses actually at the Hamilton Marketplace, which already list themselves as Robbinsville. If you go to Home Depot, you'll get a receipt, you'll actually see that they call themselves Robbinsville and not Trenton.
I hate being Trenton. I'm 08619, and I hate when I see my husband write Trenton.
If you would write a letter to your mayor, we can get this resolved.
I applaud you for taking action on behalf of your residents on that. I mean, it's pretty sad that a zip code, but it goes in line with everything else.
Not against you on this one.
Okay, thank you. I wasn't sure what happened.
Thank you for having me tonight.